Welcome to Study Session 12, Content and Forming in Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's Purple Hibiscus. Introduction. In this study session, we will carry out a critical analysis of the content and form of Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's Purple Hibiscus. We will explore the ideological thrust of the novelist and establish her place in the literary firmament of post-colonial fiction. We will also examine the appropriateness and relevance of the techniques employed in the novel. When you have studied this session, you should be able to discuss the thematic preoccupations of Chimamanda Adichie's Purple Hibiscus. Discuss the techniques employed in the novel. Let us now learn about the author, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie was born on 15 September 1977 in Enugu, Nigeria, the fifth of 6 children in Igbo parents, Grace Ifoma and James Nwoye Adichie. While the family's ancestral hometown is Aba in Anambra State, Chimamanda grew up in Nsukka in the house formerly occupied by Nigerian writer Chinua Achebe. Chimamanda's father, who is now retired, worked at the University of Nigeria, located in Nsukka. He was Nigeria's first professor of statistics and later became Deputy Vice-Chancellor of the university. Her mother was the first female registrar at the same institution. Chimamanda completed her secondary education at the university's school, receiving several academic prizes. She went on to study medicine and pharmacy at the University of Nigeria for a year and a half. During this period, she edited The Compass, a magazine run by the university's Catholic medical students. At the age of 19, Chimamanda left for the United States. She gained a scholarship to study communication at Drexel University in Philadelphia for 2 years. And she went on to pursue a degree in communication and political science at Eastern Connecticut State University. While in Connecticut, she stayed with her sister, Ijoma, who runs a medical practice close to the university. Chimamanda graduated summa cum laude from Eastern in 2001 and then completed a master's degree in creative writing at Johns Hopkins University, Baltimore. It is during her senior year at Eastern that she started working on her first novel, Purple Hibiscus, which was released in October 2003. The book has received wide critical acclaim. It was shortlisted for the Orange Fiction Prize 2004 and was awarded the Commonwealth Writers' Prize for Best First Book 2005. Her second novel, Half of a Yellow Sun, also the title of one of her short stories, is set before and during the Biafran War. It was published in August 2006 in the United Kingdom and in September 2006 in the United States. Like Purple Hibiscus, it has also been released in Nigeria. Chimamanda was a Hodder Fellow at Princeton University during the 2005-2006 academic year and earned an MA in African Studies from Yale University in 2008. Her collection of short stories, The Thing Around Your Neck, was published in 2009. Chimamanda says her next major literary project will focus on the Nigerian immigrant experience in the United States. Chimamanda is now married and divides her time between Nigeria, where she regularly teaches writing workshops, and the United States. She has recently been awarded a 2011-2012 fellowship by the Radcliffe Institute for Advanced Study, Harvard University. Let us now analyze Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's Purple Hibiscus. The plot structure of the novel. Purple Hibiscus is a novel set in post-colonial Nigeria, a country beset by political instability and economic difficulties. The central character is Kambili Achike, 15, for much of the period covered by the novel. A member of a wealthy family dominated by her devotedly Catholic father, Eugene. Eugene is both a religious zealot and a violent figure in the Achike household, subjecting his wife, Beatrice, Kambili herself, and her brother Jaja to beatings and psychological cruelty. The story is told through Kambili's eyes and is essentially about the disintegration of her family unit and her struggle to grow to maturity. A key period is the time Kambili and her brother spend at the house of her father's sister, Ifoma, and had 3 children. This household offers a marked contrast to what Kambili and Jaja are used to. Though Catholic, it practices a completely different form of Catholicism, making for a happy liberal place that encourages its members to speak their minds. In this nurturing environment, both Kambili and Jaja become more open, more able to voice their own opinions. Importantly, also, while at Auntie Ifoma's, Kambili falls in love with a young priest, Father Amadi, which awakens a sense of her own sexuality. Ultimately, a critical mass is reached in terms of the lives of Kambili, Jaja, and the existence of their family as it once was. Unable to cope with Eugene's continual violence, Beatrice poisons him. Jaja takes the blame for the crime and ends up in prison. In the meantime, Auntie Ifoma and her family go to America to live after she is unfairly dismissed from her job as professor at the University of Nigeria. The novel ends almost 3 years after these events on a cautiously optimistic note. Kambili has become a young woman of 18, more confident than before, while her brother, Jaja, is about to be released from prison, hardened but not broken by his experience there. Their mother, Beatrice, having deteriorated psychologically to a great degree, shows small signs of improvement. In essence, a better future is possible for them all, though exactly what it might involve is an open question. Subject matter. 15-year-old Kambili's world is circumscribed by the high walls and frangipani trees of a family compound. Her wealthy Catholic father, under whose shadow Kambili lives, while generous and politically active in the community, is repressive and fanatically religious at home. When Nigeria begins to fall apart under a military coup, Kambili's father sends her and her brother away to stay with their aunt, a university professor whose house is noisy and full of laughter. There, Kambili and her brother discover a life and love beyond the confines of their father's authority. The visit will lift the silence from their world and in time give rise to devotion and defiance that are revealed in profound and unexpected ways. The novel therefore themizes the promise of freedom, the blurred lines between childhood and adulthood, between love and hatred, and between the old gods and the new. Let us now take a look at themes. The theme has to do with what the story as a whole is about, the ideas or concepts conveyed by the story which are not raised by the author but generated by the reader from the work of art. The following are the themes deduced from the text: extremism and fanaticism. This is exhibited by Eugene, who takes religion and practically everything about life to the extreme. Eugene believes that to have a complete faith, one has to be religious, and at the same time, he looks at the atheists or those who do not share the same faith as his as being worthless, not worthy of associating with. In fact, there are people who will definitely end up in hell. This theme occurs in most of the scenes in the novel. For instance, Eugene prays and asks God to forgive those who have tried to thwart his will after a dinner. In another scene, we also find Kambili reading James chapter 5 in preparation for her talk during the family time. Again, Eugene accuses his children of living, sleeping, and dining with the heathen. Another theme is that of fear. The theme of fear is demonstrated by Kambili and Jaja throughout the novel. The story is replete with the aura of fear as a result of the dictatorial and tyrannical tendencies of their father, Eugene. Restriction by their father affect their social life and interaction with their colleagues and their cousins Amaka, Obiora, and Chima. They always consider what their father will do or say when he hears them doing something. This causes a kind of limitation for them, and they, especially Kambili, find it difficult to participate in activities. She finds it difficult to interact freely with her classmates. Even when the children visit their aunt, and the news of their sick grandfather makes their auntie to travel to Enugu to bring him down to Nsukka, Kambili and Jaja are scared of maintaining a good rapport with their grandfather. Eugene, on the other hand, also demonstrates fear over his children. He is scared of having children that are morally bankrupt and ungodly. He does not allow his children to have social rapport, especially with the so-called heathens. As for Beatrice, fear is evident in her subtle nature and courage, how she avoids any clash or argument with Eugene, and how she persuades her children to do whatever their father says, how she chooses her words to conform to what her husband expects, and so on. The theme of subjugation. This can also be termed the theme of living by shadows, rules, and order. Eugene rules the lives of his children with iron hand. He does not give them any breathing space or liberty to do what they like every other child. He thinks by this subjugation he is giving his children the best training. For instance, he prepares a timetable for both of them for their daily living. They know what to do at any specific moment, when to go for dinner, lunch, or breakfast, when to observe their siesta, when to wash their school uniforms, when to read newspapers, to mention but a few. As a result, they end up living a monotonous life. The theme of generosity. Generosity happens to be the strongest virtue in Eugene and his wife. They are very generous people. Eugene helps his church, especially in donation. He feeds people. His wife also hosts the sisters at home and gives them food. They are generous in giving, especially to their church members and the community. On page 54, last paragraph, he gives the hawkers some money, even though he does not buy things from all of them. The theme of military dictatorship and maladministration of Nigerian leaders. As a result of incompetence and corruption of the civilians, Nigerian soldiers take laws into their own hands and hijack the administrative rules. Invariably, this leads to unstable administration. The freedoms of people are limited, especially the freedoms of expression and of the press. Anyone who dares to go beyond the military cannot go unpunished. This is why Standard newspaper is the only media outfit that is still bold enough to serve as the conscience of the society. However, due to his defiance, the editor of the newspaper falls into the bad record of the military authority, and eventually, in a bid and determination to uphold the truth, the fearless editor, Ade Koka, is murdered with a parcel bomb allegedly sent to him by the military head of state. Dissonant family relationship. There is a sharp difference in the relationship that exists in Eugene's family and what obtains in Auntie Ifeoma's family. Kambili and Jaja observe this difference when they visit their auntie in Nsukka. Their world expands, becomes louder and more promising. They are plunged into a world where children and adults say what they think without fear, and everyone can laugh, argue, question, and challenge each other openly. Kambili, who can barely speak in the room at Enugu, who does not know the sound of her own laughter, now begins to discover her own voice, her ability to laugh and make others laugh. Also, as regards the family relationship within the Christian fold, there is a disparity between what Father Benedict allows his congregation to do and what Father Amadi permits in his own assembly. For instance, Father Amadi allows his congregation to sing Igbo native songs, and he also joins them in singing, whereas Father Benedict neither sings nor allows the congregation to sing their Igbo native praise songs to God. There are other minor themes, such as hard work, as seen in Kambili and Jaja, who take their studies serious, religious conflict between Christians and the adherents of other religions, inferiority complex, struggle for existence, for instance, Auntie Ifoma's tireless effort to keep her family together after her husband's death. Death, for instance, of Adekuka and Papa Nnuku. Let us now take a look at narrative techniques. Narrative techniques are methods by which a story is told. We shall examine the following narrative techniques employed in the novel. 1. Point of view. It is an indubitable fact that a first-person point of view is employed in the novel. In fact, the use of first-person pronouns I and we pervades the novel. On page 39, the last paragraph, we went upstairs to change, Jaja and Mama and I. These two pronouns are used continuously by the narrator, Kambili, throughout the novel. However, the narrator's knowledge about other characters is limited, which means the point of view is first-person limited because she does not have access to their minds. She could only tell the readers what she sees and witnesses of other characters in the novel. Kambili is so limited that she virtually makes no comment on issues like corruption in government and public offices, political oppression and subjugation, poverty and extreme economic disparity, national brain drain, love and celibacy, religious fanaticism and religious tolerance, and family relationship. She only leaves the readers to interpret the situations or allow them understand from the judgment of Jaja, Beatrice Achike, Obiora, Amaka, even the youngest Chioma, Auntie Ifoma, Father Amadi, as well as Papa Nnuku. We can also say that Kambili is limited in her viewpoints because she lacks the spiritual understanding which is possessed by her father. That is why she does not condemn her grandfather, Papa Nnuku, who is a traditionalist. Despite Eugene's despicable behavior, Kambili also does not like him. She still longs for his tender embrace before and after his death. There is also the stream of consciousness of the narrator. Despite the fact that Kambili is a character that is not bold due to her upbringing, the reader can still understand her character by her thoughts, self-perceptions, memories, feelings, even the total sense of awareness and mental or emotional responses. Irony. This is a literary term that is common to the three genres of literature. It is used to create a discrepancy or incongruity between what is reality and what seems to be appearance. We have situational irony in the novel. While Eugene is dying gradually, the reader thinks that he is ill. Even Kambili also thinks he is very ill because of the spots on his face. This could be seen on pages 256 to 257. But it is when he dies that the reader gets to know that he had been poisoned. This is revealed through the autopsy that is carried out on him. And it is Beatrice, Eugene's wife, who was the one poisoning him slowly every day, as she confesses to her children. that she started putting the poison in his tea before she left for Nsukka. Another narrative technique that was employed is suspense. A good example of suspense is seen in the novel when Eugene dies suddenly in his office in the factory. The readers long to know or discover the reason behind his death. However, the reason behind Eugene's death is not revealed until an autopsy is carried out on his corpse. It is after the result of the autopsy, which shows that Eugene was poisoned, that the reader gains an insight into the cause of his death. Flashback. This means an act of giving a reference to what has happened before in a literary work. This technique is explored in the novel. The story starts through a flashback. It commences with a flashback into the origin of the conflict in the family of Eugene. Kambili starts the narration from where things started falling apart in the family. She then moves back in time to show the reader all that preceded and precipitated the clash, the present. It is thus observed that while the first three parts of the novel are written in the past tense, the last part, which focuses on the present time, is written in the simple present tense. Foreshadowing and prefiguring. This is the presentation of details, characters, or incidents in a narrative in such a way that latter events are prepared for. In Purple Hibiscus, there are 4 parts. The first part tells the reader what to expect in the other parts. There is a sign of what later happens in the story, and also the cause of the conflict in the family and society as a whole. Symbolism. In this novel, the significant symbol is the purple hibiscus in Auntie Ifeoma's garden, which is also the title of the story. Due to the treatment which Kambili and Jaja get from their biological father, Eugene, in which not even their mother can interfere when they are being punished for not doing things perfectly, even right at their adolescent age. Each time Kambili and Jaja do anything by mistake or not, their father does not have mercy on them. He punishes them heavily. Another significant symbol is the startling red hibiscus, which signifies the suffering, agony, bondage, and restriction that Beatrice, Jaja, and Kambili receive from Eugene, their father. Also, one of the last sentences in the novel is symbolic. The new rains will come down soon. This symbolizes a new dawn of happiness and freedom. Characters and characterization. Kambili Achike is the central character in Purple Hibiscus and also the narrator of the story. She is an intelligent, observant, religious young woman, aged 15 for much of the novel. At the same time, Kambili is shy and inhibited, at least until she has spent an extended amount of time away from her family home at the house of Auntie Ifeoma and her family. Kambili is the younger of Eugene and Beatrice Achike's 2 children. She does not like the living environment under her father after she gets used to the freedom of Nsukka. Chukwuka Jaja Achike. Chukwuka Achike, nicknamed Jaja by his family, is an intelligent young man about 2 years his sister's elder. For most of the novel, in the same way as the rest of his family, he is dominated by his father, although ultimately he displays more overt defiance than them, especially by not going to communion on Palm Sunday and causing a massive family scene as a consequence. He takes the blame for his mother's crime and spends almost 3 years in prison before obtaining an amnesty. Eugene Achike is Kambili's father. He is a wealthy businessman and very strict Catholic who dominates his family for much of the novel by imposing a harsh religious regime in the family home. Indeed, for much of the novel, he controls almost every aspect of his family's life, including imposing a schedule upon the lives of Kambili and her brother, Jaja, so that every minute of the day is mapped out for them. Beatrice. Beatrice, mother and wife in the Achike family, is a quiet maternal figure for much of the novel, presenting a softer, warmer presence in the home, in contrast to the often tyrannical presence of Eugene. Passive is another term applicable to her, at least for a great deal of the book. During the course of the novel, Beatrice suffers 2 miscarriages after severe beatings from Eugene. It is insinuated that she stays with Eugene partially out of gratitude for his unwillingness to marry another woman after she could only have 2 children. Ultimately, however, Beatrice cannot cope with Eugene's behavior and poisons him. Auntie Ifeoma. Auntie Ifeoma is Eugene's sister, a tall, striking, intelligent woman who works as a professor at the University of Nigeria. She is highly capable in many aspects of her life, displaying determination and resourcefulness in bringing up her children without a husband. Though financially struggling, she creates a much happier environment for her children than does her brother Eugene for his family. She was married to Ifediora, who was a professor with her until his death. Amaka. Amaka is Ifeoma and Ifediora's only daughter. She is Kambili's age mate, around 15, and originally does not like Kambili, believing her to be a snob and jealous of Kambili's supposedly lavish lifestyle. After a few weeks of getting to know each other, and after Kambili's beating, the two become close friends. Obiora. Obiora is the second oldest of Ifeoma and Ifediora's 3 children. At around age 14, he wears glasses and is very good at mathematics. He is reserved, yet often speaks up when he feels someone is wrong, as is seen when he contradicts Chiako. Chima. Chima is the youngest of Ifeoma and Ifediora's 3 children. Not much is known about this character, apart from the fact that he looks up to Obiora. Father Amadi. Father Amadi is a young, attractive priest in the circle of Auntie Ifeoma and her family. Being youthful, indigenous, and well-versed in contemporary life, he could be described as a new generation priest, as opposed to white European priests in the country, such as Eugene's pastor, Father Benedict. When Kambili falls in love with Father Amadi, he shows considerable thoughtfulness and honor in the sensitive way he makes it clear to her that, because he is devoted to the church, he will never be able to become her partner. But he loves her, yet he dare not be serious with her because of his profession. Papa Nnukwu. Papa Nnukwu is both father and grandfather in the Achike family, being Eugene and Ifeoma's father. He is a kind, loving man, rooted in the traditional non-Christian beliefs of his indigenous culture, presenting a marked contrast in particular to his son Eugene's adherence to European religion and lifestyle. Father Benedict is St. Agnes' white priest. He has been in Enugu for 7 years. Being a strict colonial product, Benedict feels strong resistance to the Igbo language and prefers to lead his services in Latin and in English. He is a strong supporter of Papa's charity work. Adekoka. Adekoka is the lead editor of Papa's newspaper, The Standard. He is also the author of rebellious works, which ultimately leads to his death. He speaks out commonly against the current Nigerian government. He was killed by a package bomb in his house. He is survived by his wife, Yewande, their young daughter, and their baby. We have now come to the end of study session 12. In this study session, we analyzed Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's Purple Hibiscus, paying particular attention to the novel's background, context, thematic preoccupations, techniques, and basic elements. We concluded that in the novel, Adichie dwells on topical issues like religious fanaticism, family disintegration, protest, oppression, and solidarity. We also established that in a novel, Adichie makes use of apt techniques including symbolism, flashback, kid narrator, suspense, prefiguring, irony, and allusion. We concluded that in the text there is an adroit blend of content and form. We have now come to the end of English 211. Thank you for listening.